Maybe you could explain the 90-10 rule so that women know where they should be getting their happiness from.
Well, why don't you go ahead and explain a little bit yourself, what you liked about that, then I'll comment on it. Because I've got 5 different ways I explain it. So I know you're looking for one. So go ahead and go for it.
Yeah, I know you use the 90-10 rule actually in 2 different books or multiple books, different ways. But the one in Where Men and Venus Collide, that book, you discuss how women, 90% of their happiness needs to come from themselves and then 10% from the man. So I'd love to hear kind of your take on that.
Well, what I just gave, thank you. It's a great question. The explanation, a bit lengthy, and I know it's a new terms for a lot of people. It's a lot of information. That's why I've spelled it out in my book. And I'll tell you, it was quite a journey for me to simplify that down because there's a lot of complexity to hormones. But it is accurate, and it's very easy to understand if you go over it a few times. So you should listen to this talk several times. I think they'll get a lot of benefit from that. But with the 90-10 is basically 10. It's in essence, it means the man in your life is dessert. Your life is your main meal. That means your self-improvement, your education, your growth, your exercise, eating good food, nurturing yourself, taking me time. You know, there's enjoying me time, things you do for yourself, social bonding, things you do with others, all independent of the happiness that comes from your partner. That 10% that you can get from him is actually that five-day window. Now, when I wrote the 90-10 principle, I didn't understand the actual hormonal stuff that's going on inside of women when they can actually get that 10% from him. So even if you're looking for 10% from him during the other times of the month, it's not going to work. You really got to time this stuff as well. But as a general theme, that's how women can detach, is when a man is only 10% the source of her happiness. And the special thing about it is that the love and the support a man can give does bring a woman who's happy much higher. So that's like a really special thing. But I have to add to that is that once that brings her higher, then other things can take her higher and higher. For me, my wife, certainly when I make her happy during that time, and my happiness in my marriage certainly is happier than when I was alone. But now also being a parent, 3 daughters, 4 grandchildren, when my marriage is fulfilling me at this happier level, it takes me to an even happier level. And then, my work, oh my gosh, if I'm balanced with my family and my wife and myself, then my work, it's like a drug. I mean, I'm on heroin or something when I'm working. I'm in the flow state all the time. I travel around the world. This is what we can look forward to with better relationships as a foundation. But I work, I do a lot in China now and Russia and the Soviet countries. They're all just waking up to these gender differences. They haven't even heard about these things. So I get thousands of people showing up, and I fly these places. It's a good 12-hour flight to Shanghai and Beijing from where I live. And I just relax the whole flight. I work the whole time. I get there. I feel no jet lag. I just immediately, I don't have any problem. I used to, when a younger guy, I'd be like zoned out, jet lag. I come home, I'm exhausted. None of that. It's when you have flow state in your life, which means effortless expression of authenticity through your expressing your own inner genius, you don't get tired. Although, as my wife will point out, it does take its toll on my body. Okay, you do have to give your body rest, but I certainly don't feel it. I mean, the energy just keeps flowing. That's the benefit of balancing these masculine and feminine energies inside of us. As I mentioned before, this theme of the new book is we all now have a greater potential than ever before to be fully authentic. That, all the sort of the bridles have come off. We're no longer restricted by the male and female role. I mean, there's guys dressing like women, there's women who are like men, and, we're letting go of all these sort of old-fashioned roles, but giving rid of one role and taking on another role can be going in the wrong direction. I mean, you got to embrace the whole package. What is your masculine side? What is your feminine side is different for everybody. But we have to recognize that if you're stressed and you're a woman, it's primarily because your hormones are out of balance because you're not connecting with your authentic female side. For some women, that might mean a lot of expression of female side. For other women, it might need less. But if you're stressed and you're a woman, you're not connecting with your female side. You're not getting what you need on your female side. And if you're mad, if you're stressed, if you're moody, if you're pouty, your testosterone levels are dropping, your estrogen levels are going up, you are going out of balance. And here's a really cool thought, because what I've seen over the years is one of the most destructive things in a marriage or long-term relationship or a dating relationship is anger, a man's anger particularly. Throughout history, when men get angry, people die. Throughout history, when women got angry, men slept on the couch, okay? Whatever it is. So that we don't understand as men how deeply threatening it is to a woman when we get angry. It will shut her down. The whole thing is for her to come back to her feminine side, to feel vulnerable, to produce oxytocin. Women need to feel safe. And anger does not make a woman feel safe. And so there's a lot of tools that I teach in the new book, which is for men to recognize how to shift out of anger just like that. The first thing to understand is, so the motivation is every man wants to be a man. You want to feel powerful and competent and dignified. And whenever you're biologically speaking, if you get angry, your testosterone levels, the male hormone, is dropping and the female hormone is increasing. Now that's a revelation for everybody, because everybody always associated anger and ferociousness and guerrilla behavior as big testosterone. And it is somewhat linked to testosterone. Under threat, when a man is feeling threatened, his testosterone levels will spike. But if he loses confidence, now his testosterone converts into estrogen. We have a direct route right into estrogen, which is aromatase, an enzyme gets produced. And the more fat a man has on his body, the more aromatase gets produced. So that's another vulnerability. As men get older, we get these bellies, and that belly produces aromatase. And so whenever you feel challenged or threatened, your testosterone converts into estrogen. And once your estrogen goes up, now it puts on more fat on the belly, which produces more aromatase that converts your testosterone into estrogen. That's a big cycle, how to get rid of the estrogen in your body and so forth if you're a man. I give lots of practical solutions for that at the MauriceVenus.com website. But simply put, I don't want to leave that too undone. Fasting, every year I'll fast. Every few years I fast for 30 days on soup, bone soup. That will clear all the estrogen out of my body and flatten out my belly. Another one would be weekly fast. Like today I haven't had anything. I just had a little lemon water and a little orange this morning, and that will be it. It's just really go on a low-calorie diet for 1 or 2 days. It's so easy for men if you just stay active, and it clears out the estrogen. Your liver, if you're not digesting food, your liver gets rid of all these toxic estrogens, which are our environment. Anyway, that's a big subject in another book. That's called my book, Staying Focused in a Hyper World, all about the biology and brain function and the effects of toxicity on our body. It's really wiping out our relationships. Your average man at 50 years old, he has half the testosterone he had as a younger man. Now I'm 65 and mine are 20 to 30% higher. And it's based upon I take care of my testosterone levels with regular sex, with great sex. That's one thing. The problem is when testosterone goes down, men don't even think they want sex. So and then they go online and they'll do porn. And always, if you have low testosterone, porn is more exciting. If you have plenty of testosterone, you look at porn, you go, that's just fake. But if you have low testosterone, porn, which stimulates, because it's not real, it doesn't stimulate any oxytocin or estrogen. There's no physical contact. So when you don't have the physical contact, all you get is just a big surge of testosterone with the fantasy of a woman wanting you, which only weakens a man's testosterone levels. So we're seeing this now in boys, teenagers. They can't even get it up with a real girl. They're masturbating all the time to porn. This is a very sad story. They don't know how to manage all that sexual energy balanced with their female side, which is the more estrogen, more talking to a girl, interacting with a girl, being in a relationship with a girl. So it will kind of keep it balanced. But you also have to know how to take your me time as your man, your cave time, your rubber band, you pull away. That also rebuilds your testosterone. You get these guys who, they just want to please the woman, and there's nothing wrong with pleasing the woman, but don't please her by sacrificing your authenticity. See, it's like women really, they'll say it to me. They say, I want a real man, stands up as a, I said, what do you mean by that? He is a real man. I don't want him to change himself just to please me. I want him to please me, but I don't want him to give up himself. And that's what men do. And then they resent their partners later. They feel like, oh, they get all pouty and so forth. Because when you give up doing the things you need to do as a man to feel good about yourself, not dependent on a woman, you give that up where your happiness primarily comes from her, then your testosterone levels are going down, you're becoming interdependent, too interdependent, and that's high estrogen. So, you know, this is it's all challenging. You know, this is new ideas and new concepts, but the principles have always been there. It's just that now the terrain of relationships, the dynamics, is we're beyond the traditional roles of Mars and Venus. And now women are on Mars, men are more on Venus. And how do we come back to our planets to find our balance within ourselves? Because when you find the balance, then you've got this very strong polarity that causes you to attract to your partner. And that's where sex lasts. That's where passion lasts, is where women take time to be purely feminine for a little while during the day. And a guy takes time to be purely masculine during the day, during his relationship as well. You got to find that balanced place.